Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and today I want to talk to you about why you must stop following the world's way of faithlessness. And this is important to note that most professing Christians do this wrong. They follow the world's way of doing things. They don't get into faith. They talk about faith, like they'll have these religious sounding things. They'll phrase things in a religious sounding way to make it sound more spiritual, as if it's not the evil words that are being spoken. But it's really faithlessness. And I've mentioned this before, but this is worth repeating, that when you are not believing in yourself, you're out of faith in God. It's not about faith in yourself, but when you do not believe that God's power and His wisdom and His grace is empowering you to succeed, you're out of faith. You're not walking by faith. You're walking by sight. And so many people, the world of course, but even professing Christians are no different in many cases. What are they doing? They're babbling about the world. They're babbling about the news media. They're babbling about this illness. They're babbling about this war. They are so rooted and grounded in faithlessness, they can't even see it. And I've talked to some of these people, I've said, why don't you just stop watching the news? Because they're whining about this bad thing and that bad thing. And I'm telling them, well, it's not making you feel any better. Why are you paying any attention to this? Why are you watching the news? Well, but I need to keep informed. But it's not helping you any. First, it's not informing you of anything. It's just making you be out of faith. You're not walking by faith. You're walking by sight. The world's telling you what they see. And a lot of times, it's not even what they see. It's what they want you to see. And you're falling for it hook, line, and sinker. You're not even having any kind of thought about it. You're just going, oh, well, the news said this. And it doesn't matter because people go, well, I watch this news channel and they give me the truth. And that channel over there, they're telling lies. They're almost all telling lies. And even if they were telling the truth, they word it in such a way to keep you grounded in fear and not in faith. I stress this so often, but you have to get rid of watching the news, reading the news, talking about the news, going on social media and reading other people babbling about what they heard from the news. I haven't watched the news in so long, and you know what? It doesn't affect me at all. If there's anything major going on, anything I need to know about, anything affecting my business, now I read stuff about my business and my industries, but I'm not going and reading the politics and the news and the weather and all this stuff. If I need to know any of that stuff, I get that information from somebody who knows it. And it will just come into your life naturally. You don't need to go out and hunt it down. Because 99.9% of the stuff you're reading isn't even applying to you. It's useless in your life. It does nothing except gives you something to babble about to other news watchers. Well, they already saw the same programs you did, so they're going to babble back to you the same things. You guys are just reinforcing your faithlessness. But when you're looking to God, and your faith is rooted and grounded in Him, you're walking by the faith of God, the very faith of God. In Him and you live and move and have your being. The life you live now is not by sight. It's not by the news. It's not by what some preacher says because he's afraid because the news told him. But you live by the faith of the Son of God. You're living and walking by the faith of God Himself. When you do that, you start to see success after success after success after success. The world could be babbling about the economy, and your personal economy will be going up. They'll be talking about how things are so bad, inflation's so bad. It won't even affect you in the least because you'll just be going up and up and up. From one glory to another, from one blessing to another, continually moving up the ladder, closer and closer to even greater success. But you're going to have a hard time doing that if you're listening to the world's media. You're going to have a hard time doing that if you're listening to professing Christians babbling about things they're afraid of and things they're worried about. Oh, you know, did you hear about the economy? Oh, did you hear about this? Oh, I hear there's this new illness. Stop. None of that is from the heart of a faith-filled person. That is faithlessness. And when you're going around talking like that, all you're speaking is doubt and unbelief in the goodness and grace of God in your life. Now listen, the world may certainly have a lot of bad things going on in it. It also has a lot of good things going on in it. But those bad things don't have to have any effect in your life at all. Yes, the economy can be going down in your country and you are not affected by it in the least. Yes, there could be some illness going around and you are not affected by it in the least. Yes, there could be wars and rumors of wars and you are not affected by it in the least. My friend, you don't have to get caught up in the world's faithlessness. You need to be diligent to guard your heart from the impurity and the evil that people will cause you to speak, because they're getting you into fear. And you start spreading that fear to others. Do you want to be the person who is evangelizing for the devil, who is speaking the devil's word, who is telling people to be afraid of this illness, instead of telling people that the Lord our God is the one who heals us, that by his stripes we are healed? Are you the one that wants to go around and talk about, oh, the economy is going down? Or do you want to be the person who is speaking forth the word of life and saying the blessing of the Lord makes rich and he has no sorrow with it? Or saying that Jesus became poor that we through his poverty might be rich? The fear and the doom and gloom and the naysayers and the doubters and the unbelievers, including those who profess to be Christians, but their words betray them and testify against them that they're really unbelievers because they don't have any faith at all in God's goodness. They don't have any faith in God's grace. You can't follow those people. You can't listen to them. You can't give heed to them. You can't start speaking forth the nonsense they've told you. And as I said, it doesn't matter if it's actually going on in the world. It doesn't have to affect you until you choose to believe for it. And you go around repeating it, and you go around talking that negativity, you go around talking that doubt, you go around talking that unbelief, you're believing for it. That's what your faith has been turned to. Not to God, not to his goodness, not to his grace, not to his mercy, not to his blessing, not to his abundance, but to the world and its fear and its doom and its gloom and all the negativity it drags into its own life. The worldlings drag in negativity into their lives each and every day, and they wonder why it's happening. Some, if they get religious enough, they'll start blaming God. Well, it must be God's will. It's nonsense. God's will is his goodness in your life. God's will is that heaven be on earth, that you're experiencing a life on earth as it is in heaven. That's God's will. So Jesus told you to pray. He didn't tell you to pray against God's will. He told you to pray God's will, which is that you have heaven on earth. And if you're not experiencing heaven on earth right now, it's probably because you're going around talking the unbelief of the world. It's probably because you're going around speaking forth what the news has told you to be afraid of, and what people on social media who watch the news are telling you to be afraid of. You must choose life. You must choose blessing. And you must choose to speak forth life and blessing. Stop speaking forth the negativity of the world. Stop repeating what the news is babbling about. Stop watching the news. Stop reading the news. Stop listening to the news. Stop getting around people who are babbling you what the news told them. Start speaking forth words of life. Start being around those who speak forth edifying words that build you up in the faith, that don't get you in fear, that don't get you in doubt, that don't get you in unbelief. And start walking that way, where you're walking by faith and not by sight. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world, because in your personal life, the world is getting better and better and better each and every day. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.